Hey YouTube, thanks for clicking on this video. Today is Friday, July 17th, and they have just released FFF number 356. So we're going to check that out. We're getting super close to version 1.0 coming up on August 14th. We've only got a few more of these left. If you like this sort of thing, hit that like, subscribe, ring that bell so you get notified if and when I post a video. And if you have a question or comment, leave in the comment section below, or you can come by twitch.tv/clowntown. We read these every Friday together as a community and do some other things for new players and look at the Reddit posts. It's just a great time of discussing Factorio and being there with my community and looking forward to 1.0. With that, let's get to the FFF. Okay, Friday Facts number 356, Blueprint Library for Reals. It's going down for real, says Kovarex. The story of motivation. Okay. The wall of text is about my struggle with Factorio in life. Feel free to skip to the next subject if you wish to see the actual Factorio content. I have a feeling this is going to be the 80, and the actual Factorio content is going to be the 20. Since 2 years ago, I've had these problems. It was hard to force myself to work on the game, and I didn't enjoy it that much, so I was looking to have a break. I know exactly. I disappeared from Factorio development August 26, 2019, the release of World of Warcraft. He said this, World of Warcraft Classic. He even posted this. He says, I'm out of here. I'm going to go play Warcraft for a little bit. And we went, what? Yeah. We were all. So one of the big reasons was I had already level 60 priest when I realized that tanks are so hard to come by. And I re-rolled a tank and learned how to play it and leveled to 60. It was great fun to finish the dungeon content and acquire the pre-raid best in slot, I guess. It's all just to find out tanks are far from a hot commodity when it comes to raiding, where you just need a few in the 40 people raid, right? At this point, I thought I would come back to work with full power, but I just couldn't. When I tried to work, I had a strong, almost physical feeling of disgust. It was impossible to overcome. It's clear to me at this point, typical burnout situations, very common. It's far from surprising that many years of working that hard, the attempts to get back to work mainly motivated by guilt. And I knew well that it's hardly good motivation for anything. I tried to overcome by sheer willpower. It would make it worse, so I just stayed distance. The team was still working on its own and making good progress, so I was taking advantage of it and continued to have a break and spent more time with my family and leisure activities. As the situation not getting that much better, there were proposals of selling the company and getting rid of responsibility for good. This would sound like a rational choice, but I was far from open to doing that. I generally don't like to do something just because it's the norm. The norm is to always keep growing exponentially, getting investors, expanding, getting more people, never stopping, never resting until you're the biggest and most horrible company. Or you die trying. It's kind of true. The approach dictates that once you can't expand the enterprise, you need to sell it so others can grow it. I don't like that either. I didn't forget why we all started working on this game and wanted to make the games. I wanted to make the games that we couldn't find, and we wanted to have fun doing so. I wanted the game to be primarily fun for us, not for a focus group that has the most financial potential. Bingo. So even if we faced the hypothetical decision, either we sell it to a big publisher or we shut down the studio. I chose the latter because you can't put a price tag on the fact that we still own the game. That's huge. In the latter case, we would come back to it any time we feel like the time is right, instead of having to watch it being milked as microtransactions filled the cash grab by some company. Correct. This is my lowest point personally, and generally not feeling well, and was lost in searching for purpose. One of the biggest reasons I didn't feel well was that becoming more and more lazy. When you don't have to overcome daily obstacles and annoyances, you become more and more lazy. True. You need gravity. You need gravity to exercise your muscles. Otherwise, your muscles atrophy. That's exactly right. Even the most basic things start to be a huge pain, and so you don't generally feel well. This was where I was. In the meantime, I was occasionally playing some simple games. My 4.5-year-old son, parentheses, some games. I was trying to find some nice, cool games that we could play together, but I didn't find anything. Feel free to give me suggestions and comments. So I figured that he could actually try to play Factorio. Boom. Know that feeling. I started Peaceful Game for him, showed him how to move around, craft basic stuff, and let him play. He was just running around having a blast. He could mine trees and explore. Some other day I joined the game and built some small factories, so basic technologies unlocked, so he could play around with that. Eventually he set himself a project to create a wall around the entire factory. He was focused and kept at it. 3 days later, he came at me and showed it to me, and he was so proud. Some time later, He played alone for a while, and then he showed me some very basic mining and smelting setups. It was very weird, but it worked. That's when I realized how great was Factorio for kids. Yes, it is. You can scale a skill set from very, very basic almost up to infinity. He can't read. He didn't know numbers greater than 4, yet he managed to play. And in a few days, that kind of recognized the numbers up to 10 without even realizing. When I showed him how construction robots' personal requests work, he was super enthusiastic to talk construction robots to everyone he met. This was us in Terraria, by the way. He asked me once, Father, what is this thing in the list of things I can order? Is this atomic bomb? Oh, I want to order it. No, we don't even have that researched. But why is it in the list then? It doesn't make sense. Aha, you're right. Might actually want to fix that. So I opened Factorio's source code, and after a long time, made the change. The filter and logistic requests for selections didn't contain things yet to be researched, unless you force unlock it in the settings. Aha. I made a change to Factorio, and it felt good, and I started to want more. This is how I got from the lowest point. It's great. I wasn't yet prepared for the big projects mentally, so I did a few other small tweaks and started to visit the office occasionally. It's giving me more and more energy. I was not working because of guilt. I was working out of joy again. That's when I decided to face the big elephant in the room, the blueprint library. I was scared to approach such a big problem in my previous state, but now I felt brave enough to start working on it. I was able to work in full power mode again. That work went forward fast. As I had to overcome the annoyances of obstacles getting away. Positive effect of my overall laziness really fast. As the new BP library started to shape up, I started to feel something almost forgotten. I was proud of what I was doing. Damn. Story of the blueprint and the library, blueprint library development is quite long and convoluted. I have a friend who needs to read this. I suspect you do as well. We mentioned it in 12 FFF already, and it wasn't always quite right, but I believe that we are getting to the final stage with the current rework. Small tweaks and improvements can always be done, but generally feeling like, yeah, this works finally. First mention of Blueprint apart from Blueprinting Mod was in FFF 16, 6.5 years ago. The first Blueprint implementation, 0.9. Look at that. And look, there's still squares. They didn't round off the belts yet. Been a while before they round off the belts. Yep. Blueprints are obviously a great upgrade when you compare the state of not having them, but everything was plain and very primitive in today's perspective. You had to actually craft the blueprint. Yep, I remember that. It took an advanced circuit, took a red circuit. And the setup window was not the greatest. Note that the confirm button was the blueprint button. Yep, click or delete. The exact example of us doing GUI in a logical way but not intuitive way. There's no way to change the blueprint once it was set up, and you could only clear it for the price of one electronic circuit. Yeah, you had to build new one. Improvement 0.13. This is right around when I started, I think. Blueprints started to be important, so we added some very basic way they edit them and include tiles and modules. Yep, I remember those. Look at those old modules. The blueprint book was introduced. It cost 15 advanced circuit and can only hold blueprints directly. Wow, look at that. It cost. First plan of the blueprint library. I do remember this one. I was around when this one came out. The fact that you didn't have a way to back up your blueprints would just plainly lose them if you died or moved to a different game was pretty harsh. So we started working on the blueprint library. First mention was 156. First implementation was 161. Pretty rough. I remember these two. These seams in the window. Note that the play button was the way to export the blueprint. Yep. I think you hovered over it. I wonder if you got a tooltip into your game as an item you could put in your inventory and use it. Yep, you could drag it from My Blueprints and put it. We mainly quickly realized that this needs to be more intuitive. The way it was exported streamlined, you could just drag and drop in your inventory. Another way was exporting was done secretly. When you held a blueprint record, closing the library window, it's seemingly useful as you could just grab it from the library and build. Once you were done, press Q to clean the cursor. the item just spilled into your inventory. Yes, it was common these times that your inventory was slowly getting cluttered from random blueprints. Yes, that Q dropped it into your inventory, the pipette tool, which I guess hadn't become the pipette tool at that time, if it was still dropping in. It had, maybe. 016, the preview was updated. It was only about connecting the belts pipe wall entities, but it added a lot to the understandability, and it started, look at those belts, they start to curve, right? And that was a big deal, getting those. The endless discussion phase, yeah, they've discussed it for 100 weeks since then. There's still a lot of problems with the blueprint library, and we were desperately trying to figure out how to solve them in various different crazy ways. But a week later, we agreed on a simple solution, 250, 255 from player's perspective. Blueprints were always just items. Blueprint library was just something, persistent chest. A quick bar, movements, transfers, everything works exactly with them. The BP library technical magic is done under the hood. This is where it gets really good. 17 took a big step up. 17 was really good in terms of gameplay. 1760 was... Science went bam, and they just freaking nailed science at 17.5. But releasing 17 and dragged all of these, early 17, they dragged all these blueprints around. It was really, really, really good gameplay. They had all those check boxes for components and all that. After some time, 32 weeks, we presented a UI mock-up for the planned blueprint library. Yep, it was a long time. This is the big plan since 17 release was approaching, and there was just too many other things to do. We just postponed it. So here comes 17. We extended the amount of things a blueprint can handle, mainly trains. Yeah, that got it really good. You could put not only the components modules, but the tiles, trains, station names, and the trains themselves. You could paste a train, and it would have a locomotive demand or a wagon demand. Let's see. Okay. We just made a few small tweaks for 17, make the usage of blueprints less of a pain. Mainly the ability to make a quick bar reference directly to the blueprint library, using it to create a new item that is a copy of the BP library record, so you can build from it pressing Q. Clean the cursor just to leave the blueprint instead of cluttering the inventory. That was the big one. But the blueprint library didn't get any real improvement. See, the current blueprint library 18 release included blueprint setup so that it matches our new GUI style. Yep, that got its UI over. Blueprint library was still pretty good. So here's a new one. So if this blueprint build-up led to nothing, it would be pretty lame. I mean, there may be some human stories behind this too. Expect the blueprint library finally getting some real improvement. So it looks like the rest of the game. That's good. This is interesting. They've got my blueprints. They've got these separated by books and a larger icon for the blueprints. They look bigger. Scroll bar. It looks to me like the rest of the game. The manipulation, it was agreed 2 years ago. F beep beep beep. The blueprints in the blueprint library are manipulated as items in every way. Twinson forced me to agree on this, and I wasn't convinced at the time. But when I started implementing it, it was instantly clear that this way was better than any other proposal. You don't have to learn anything new. Just manipulate the objects exactly the same way you're used to, and it feels right. There is quite something happening in the background when transferring blueprints, as they are still very, very different types of objects in the inventory in the blueprint library. The user is now completely shielded from all of this. Okay. Unification, as all the UI was unified, looked the same. In the current version, for example, opening a blueprint book as an item looks very different compared to opening it in the blueprint library, and it has different features. Now the identification. Oh, look at here. List view, and tile view. First of all, every blueprint tool has an editable name. It does. Description. And icons. Bam. For the blueprint book, upgrade planner, and deconstruction planner, these icons are optional, but overwrite the dynamic icons shown for them. This might be mainly useful for books that you might want to have the same preview regardless of the currently selected blueprint. Bam. I like this. I like trains. Nature Destroyer. When the names and description become more important to the user, he can switch to the list view. Bam. This is nice. Small thing that helps is the upgrade planner now updates the related icons of the blueprints and books. Oh, look at here. Oh, an upgrade from... Okay, that's a red to blue, a yellow to blue, or yellow to red. Oh, look at that. It upgraded all of them. Boom. Red to blue. Blue to yellow. Wow. That's badass. The books and books. We wanted something for a long time, and it was highly requested now, so now it is possible. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. Awesome. The maximum health depth is set to 6. Mainly to prevent the UI from getting out of hand. It's just logical. Iterating through the hierarchy of books, content works hierarchical now. The tools and the tools and books and library. I almost take the blueprint out so I can look at it. I almost never mouse wheel through them. Since both the upgrade planner and the deconstruction planner are also kind of virtual and configurable, this makes sense to allow them in books as well. Oh, and the blueprints library. The preview of the book changing, you switch between different object types. Nice. The copy. Since blueprint manipulation now is now moving the blueprint around, never making a copy, apart the export-import workaround. We really needed this feature to make an explicit copy. The nice touch is that the copy is made based on the current unconfirmed edit of the blueprint, so you can make slightly modified versions of it quite fast. Oh. Oh, there's a C, copy. Oh, look at there. Conan's making these. This Conan's making the GIFs. The reassign. My most personally wanted feature, you can change the contents of the blueprints while the name and description positioning is preserved. Oh. So wait. I want that GIF again. Select new contents for the blueprint. Oh, that's big. You change the icon. Oh, neato. What? This is huge. RSET had a great time with this feature of blueprint building directly in the in-game map. This is giant for city block bases and mega bases. This is huge. BP in the fog of war, and it sticks. Yes, if it goes outside the fog of war, this is badass. This is a big one right here. This is my number one. Of all the stuff I've seen, this is my number one right here. These changes are being finalized and tested, so they'll be available in the next upcoming weeks, just in time for 1.0. Boom! This is huge. I'm glad they saved this one till the end. Dang, that's awesome. Wow. Freaking R said, man, this is awesome right here. Like, yeah, hey. This is big time. This is big time for everything. This speed runs, everything. This has so many applications. Wow. I did not know I needed this feature. Whoa, right? I did not know I needed this till I saw this. All right, let's launch a rocket. That's it. That's great. Let's go out on that one. New blueprint library. Of course they needed that. I had no idea they did, but of course they needed that. That's great. Welcome back, Kovarex. That's going to be awesome. Wow. First off, welcome back, Kovarex. I'm glad that you beat whatever was inside at the moment. I have a sneaking suspicion that everybody has a friend who needs to see that or needs to read that. That's excellent, man. I'm glad you beat that. We're glad to have you back before 1.0. You're an MVP, and that your principles stayed strong. You didn't farm out the company to something else. We're all with you, and we're going to make this 1.0 a great, as good as we can make this launch. It's going to be great. And hey, that blueprint library, everybody in chat is just liking that so much. So I'm looking forward to that. Thank you very much for hitting the like, subscribe, and for watching this video. I'll see you either live or I'll see you in the comments section. See you next time.